Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to another episode of the Iron Life Podcast. I am your host, Chris Tutela. It feels good to be back. It's been a couple weeks. I've been off the mic here because life has been busier than ever. Had a lot going on the last couple weeks. So since the last time I was here, we had the Iron Business Weekend. Joe DeFranco and I put that event on over at his gym in East Rutherford, where we had gym owners from all over the U.S. and Canada come over here to the Dirty Jers, where we talked business, we trained. We really did a deep dive into helping these, because this is what the program's about, right? Like helping gym owners grow their business. But this weekend was so much more than that. So, of course, we did the deep dives and did the hot seats, and we did all that good stuff to help these gym owners grow their businesses and give them the strategies that they need to do so. But we also had a great time training together. We did an escape room. We did not get out, but we were fucking close. But that was a great time. What else did we do? We went to dinner, and of all places, so Joe D, if you guys know Joe D, who doesn't, but Joe picked the restaurant, and of course my man picks Paisanos and I guess, where was that? East Rutherford, I guess. But it was a great time. That was March 16th and 17th. Working on some other new projects. Just got something in the works, something new that I can't quite talk about just yet. But we also had a new class of the Iron Business Blueprint kickoff, which is our 90-day coaching program for gym owners who want to grow and scale their gyms in 90 days to multiple six figures per year. TTS, we had some new hires, some new systems. We had our big full day quarterly meeting. So it's just been packed. And on top of this I just found out that Gab and I have baby number 2 on the way, coming September. So obviously super excited about that. Everybody's saying that we worked fast. We sure as hell did. They call me the sharpshooter. But CJ is 10 months, and it's been awesome seeing him grow up, taking his first steps. And now we have baby number 2 on the way, which is, we found out, is going to be a boy as well. So I got that masculine energy, bringing that to you today. So a lot has been going on. It's fucking exciting. And I'm excited to be back, though, to talk to you guys. And with all this busyness that I've been having going on in my life with businesses and obviously a family now, it did bring up a lot for me over the last I guess since CJ was born, over the last 10 months. Like, I think I completely underestimated how having a child will impact our schedule, especially because Gab is also, a business owner, entrepreneur. She was also helping me with TTS. So she's spending a lot of time on work, and she works from home, and obviously I have all my stuff that I'm doing. And so there was a lot of schedule conflict, and a lot of things where, if I'm being completely honest, I'm like, maybe I put a little bit too much on Gab to take care of CJ while I was taking care of work, but I also have to work. So, figuring out those next steps. And then like little things I would notice kind of were slipping through the cracks, just like around the house, like family wise, right? Like maybe the dishes were not being kept up with because obviously Gab is super busy and I'm super busy, and the things that normally get done weren't getting done. So, I had to take some time and recognize, like, fuck, instead of pointing fingers, because I think that's what happens, right? When you're in life and you're in it, you may point fingers and say, you should have done this or I should have done that. And in reality, I always think of the message that I share with you guys and who I feel I am as a person and how I like to live my life. And it just made me think. I came to the realization, a couple days ago, actually, where I'm like, I got to fucking man up. I have to take ownership, because if this is going to change and if this is going to get better, then I need to be the leader. I need to be the man that I say I am, and I need to step up, whether that means waking up another half hour or hour earlier. Maybe that means, breaking, not stopping my routine, but maybe getting up those few minutes earlier to help with dishes, or go to bed a little bit later to help with dishes, or whatever that is. Simple things around the house. It's not just the dishes, but I think you guys get my point. Just making sure that those things are still taken care of. And then, hey, maybe that means we have to hire a nanny or hire somebody to come in and help us out. This stuff is so important. And if we just let it go, I realize that could become detrimental to our relationship. That could become, just clutter accumulating, creates overwhelm for all of us. So the point of today's show is going to be the 9 steps to take full control over your life. I spent some time thinking about this because of everything I was going through the last couple of months, and especially the last couple of weeks now with the added doctor's visits and all that good stuff. So I do want to share these with you. So far, like I said, it's only been a couple of days, but man, even just after a few days, I feel so much more clear-headed and energized and focused. So I really think that this is something that could help you guys as well. So I wanted to share that with you today. All right. So step number 1 to taking full control over your life. Have a clear vision of what you want and when you want it by. And also get clear on what you don't want. All right. So we talk about this in business all the time. Like, this is something that we help our members of the Iron Business Blueprint do, is creating that vision of what we want and when we want it by. And I think, a lot of us, if you're listening to this show, maybe you are, the type A, driven, passionate person who gets very clear on your goals, especially with your work, maybe for your fitness. But, one of the things that we tend to allow to slip through the cracks are maybe just our home life or our relationship. And we don't push ourselves or really even consider what we want those things to look like. So getting crystal clear on what we want for our relationships, for our family, and that comes down to like, hey, how much, like, what's the amount of time that you want to dedicate to being there present with your family? What about a scheduled date night once a week, or scheduled, family time on a weekend, or whatever that looks like for you? Again, schedule time to take care of the house, so you're not just spending all your day cleaning up. I think that's one of the things too. It's like, we have so much shit to do that we'll spend an entire Saturday fucking taking care of housework, and then by the time that's done, you're exhausted and you don't want to do anything. It's like, well, and then that becomes the pattern. So you get your work, then you take care of the house. You have all these things going on. And it's like, well, because of that, now I didn't spend any time with my kids. I didn't spend any time with my spouse or significant other. So we got to get fucking clear on that and communicate that with the entire family, right? Like, what are my expectations? What are your expectations? What do we want to build together? Because if we don't look at it that way and we just, kind of live life, we start coasting. And it's in any area of your life. Once we start coasting, I think that's where the depression kicks in. That's where the anxiety kicks in. That's where the overwhelm and the fighting and the conflicts start to pop up, right? We have to spend time thinking about this stuff. And, I'll be honest with you guys, as tension has gotten a little bit higher because of these new things and responsibilities. And by the way, we're also looking for a new place to live. There's a lot going on. It's Gab and I started getting to more arguments than we normally do. And it's kind of like, man, like this is not who we are. And we got to make this change, right? So getting crystal clear on what it is that we want, when we want it by, and also what we don't want. Like, what are the things that you are not going to allow in your life, in your relationships, or what are your non-negotiables? You got to get clear on that. That's step 1. Step 2, once we have that in place and we know exactly where we're going, determine the actions and behaviors that are required to get you there. So once we have an understanding, it's like, let me give you a basic example. I don't want a messy kitchen. Okay, I'm just making up an example. I don't want a messy kitchen. All right, well, what are the actions and behaviors that are required to keep that kitchen clean, considering your work schedule, your life schedule, and the way you want those things to look? All right, well, when are you going to dedicate the time, and who's going to dedicate the time to take care of the kitchen so it's not fucking messy, right? Again, that's a very small example, but these are things that you need to look at as a whole if we're going to take back that control over our lives. And again, I'm using the example of at-home stuff, but again, let's use this from a business standpoint, right? We have a clear vision of what it is that we want. Now, what are the action steps and behaviors that are required to get there? What is the work that needs to be done to bridge the gap from where you are to where you want to be? If we don't identify what those actions and behaviors are and then put those actions on our fucking calendar to ensure that they get done, then they're not going to get done because you're leaving it up to chance. You know, when you do random shit, you get random results. If you're listening to this, means you probably take care of yourself. You're probably dialed in with your training. You're probably dialed in with your nutrition. And we all know that if we just do random shit in the gym, we're not going to get great results. If we just do random shit with our nutrition, we're not going to get great results. We need a predictable outcome by doing the behaviors that we know are aligned with that outcome. Does that make sense, guys? I hope that I'm getting that point across because it's really important. We have to identify that. We got to put it on our calendar, and we have to make sure that it gets done, right? So number 3, this is a big one. Determine your current actions and behaviors, that are not serving your vision, right? So think about it. If you say, I'm going to use this example again, you say, I want my kitchen to be clean, but you're watching 3 hours of Netflix while the kitchen is a fucking disaster behind you, then your actions are misaligned with the outcome that you want. Let's use the example of fitness. If you say, I want to be 9% body fat by summer, and it's April, and you're eating fucking Twinkies on a Wednesday, your actions are misaligned with the outcome that you want. So we have to be brutally honest with ourselves, take a look at how we're living, take a look at how we're carrying ourselves, take a look at where the incongruencies are with what we want and what we're actually doing. And you got to take ownership over that. And you got to make sure that you cut those vices, okay? If you don't, you're going to allow them to take over your life, and then all of a sudden you start living in a way that is incongruent with who you are, right? And then you start to blame other people for it. You start to say, oh, this doesn't get done, and that's because I work all day, and I'm fucking tired, and I come home, and then the kitchen's a mess. Well, get your fucking ass off the couch and spend 15, 20 minutes. You know, make that a routine where you spend 10, 15, 20 minutes before you sit down to unwind, if that's your thing, to watch Netflix or whatever. But you spend those 15, 20 minutes cleaning up the kitchen or helping out in whatever way that you need to, right? So that's number 3. Determine your current actions and behaviors that are not serving you. All right, so here's number 4. Determine your daily non-negotiables. Then do them. So when we look at our lives as a whole, right, and we have those pillars that will give us fulfillment, right? So we have our fitness, we have our family and friends, we have fun, we have focus, right? These are the things that we need to really dive in on and work on in order for us to be fulfilled and be the man or woman that we say we are and that we want to be, right? Because we all want to get better, right? The key to happiness is progress or growth. So if we're going to be happy, if we're going to improve, then we need, or if we're going to be happy, then we need to improve. We need to grow, period. So what are those non-negotiables? What's a list of maybe, guys, I'm talking 1 to 3 things that we can do daily that will get us closer to the life that we want. So if you want to be fit, all right, fitness, like what's a non-negotiable? Maybe that's 10,000 steps per day. Okay. What about for your nutrition? Maybe that's 4 meals with protein at each meal per day. Right? It could be anything, right? Whatever your non-negotiables are, but you need to create them and you need to stick to them. Even when you have a bad day, even when shit gets hard and you're in the middle of a stressful moment in life, you have these non-negotiables. Those are like your North Star. So it's like we do them no matter what. So I'm busier than ever, right? But I know that right now my strength training, I'm doing 2 full body days per week right now because I upped my jiu-jitsu to 3 days. So I know my non-negotiables for my strength training, that's twice a week, no matter what. If I'm tired, if I slept like shit, if I got into an argument with Gab, if work's been crazy, doesn't matter. It's a non-negotiable. Does that mean it's always going to be the perfect training session and I'm in there for an hour? Not always. I might only have 20 minutes that week. I might only have 15 minutes, 30 minutes, but I still get it done, right? It's the act of doing it that builds the habit, that creates the discipline. You do it when you don't want to do it. You do it when you don't want to do it. But that doesn't just go for fitness. If I'm being honest, I think for myself, I'm really good at that type of stuff, but I'm not great at fucking folding my laundry and putting everything away. I've never been great at that, right? And if I'm going to hold myself accountable here, then I'm going to say to you, all right, well, that's something I need to get better at, right? Around the house type of stuff. So when you look at those things, don't just look in one area, because you might be listening to this and you might be like me, where fitness, it's harder to not train. It's harder to eat like shit than it is to eat well. It's harder to get 3 hours of sleep and go out drinking all night versus like getting to bed on time and getting a full 8 hours. It's harder for me to do the shit that's not aligned with my fitness goals. But there are things, if I'm looking at my life honestly, there are things that I've let slip through the cracks with like, and I'm talking about it a lot today, around the house stuff is one of them, because I'm fucking driven when it comes to work. I'm driven when it comes to fitness. I'm disciplined. I'm dialed in with a lot of those things, but I'm a human being. I do have weaknesses, as do you. So take a look at your life, identify what those weaknesses are, and then we figure out how the fuck can we improve them. And we improve them by having those non-negotiables in your life. Make sense? I hope so. Number 5, surround yourself with the right people and get rid of those who drain your energy. If you're going to take full control of your life, if you have fucking bums around you telling you what to do and what not to do and complaining and, just always that person that they always got a story for whatever reason, they're gossiping, they're energy vampires, and they're just fucking draining you, then it's going to be very unlikely for you to build the life you want, because you're surrounded by people who are not living the life that you want. You're surrounding yourself with people who are draining you of your energy. They're putting a limiting belief system on you, because they're just imposing their self-limiting bullshit on you and on everyone else around them. So you got to get those fuckers out of your life, right? And get around the right people, okay? Get around the right people. So find the people that are living in a life in the way that you want, that are doing big things, that are living life and playing the game at a higher level than you are. You got to get around those people and learn from them, which brings me to number 6, which is really important. You got to pay to play. Pay to get in the room. You got to pay to get around those people that I just told you about. There's so many, man. We have a lot of conversations, right? Whether it comes to the Iron Business Blueprint, where I talk to a lot of gym owners who are interested in joining our program. We only take 20 people into the cohort. And, maybe I talk to 40 of them, 40 gym owners, for each cohort or so. And 20 get in, and the other 20 find a way to make excuses and keep themselves broke. So they look at money as like this thing that, oh man, I just can't part ways with this because if I give you this, then I got to worry about this bill that I have to pay and this and that. It's like, dude, you're investing this money to grow this money. This is an investment. That's how this works, right? And that's why people stay broke, because they're afraid to do that. They're afraid to take those risks. There's no guarantees in life, but guess what? If you say your goal is to build a multiple six-figure or more gym, then don't you think you should get around the people who have built multiple six-figure gym businesses like Joe D and I? Don't you think we're going to be able to teach you and show you the roadmap and the exact game plan that will get you from where you are to where you want to be, and having the support of other gym owners that are there going through the same struggles as you? Don't you think you're going to be more likely to achieve that goal? Well, you're probably shaking your head saying yes right now, but why doesn't everybody just say, you know what, I'm ready? Well, fear is a big thing. The people that are surrounding them are a big thing because they're probably the naysayers and saying, oh, well, that's expensive or blah, blah, blah. Well, yeah, but you got to play to pay. You got to pay to play. Sorry. You got to pay to play. And listen, I've been there, right? Like back in 2015 is when I first invested in Bedros Keuilian as a mentor. Okay. And at the time, he had a course called the Fitness Business Ignition course. And it was like $100 per month. And when I tell you it was all that I was putting it on a credit card because I had no money at the time. And what happened was I took my gym from 6 clients to like 30 something clients. And I went from like $0 a month to I think around 11 or 12 grand per month in just a couple of months, only by making that investment where I wasn't even working with Bedros. I was just watching his videos and applying what I learned. And then I said, holy shit, there's something here. And then Bedros held the Fitness Business Summit in March of 2017. And I said, I got to go to that. So I invested my money in the ticket, which was like $1,000 or so, which, it wasn't cheap at the time. Like I was like, fuck, it's $1,000, whatever it was. And I had to fly to San Diego, get a hotel room, all that stuff. That was another investment in myself. At that event, Bedros completely sold me on working with him one-on-one, right? And at the time, which is crazy to say, at that time, it was like $9 grand to work with him one-on-one, which by the way, he charges $100 grand now. So it's like, fuck, got in at the right time. But again, $9,000. That was a hard one. If I didn't have the money, what am I going to do? I got to put this on a credit card. I'm freaking out. But I did it. And guess what? My business then went from 11 grand or so to 25 grand or so in that year. All right. So the point is, and then look, more investments over the years. I've worked with Luka Hocevar. I've worked with Ryan Obernesser. I've worked with Gym Launch. I've made investments, thousands and thousands, guys, hundreds of thousands of dollars I've invested in myself, in coaching and in mentoring. And every single time my business grows and I grow personally as a human being, which is why I will never stop doing it, right? If you say, hey man, I have 10 grand here. I'm going to give you this 10 grand, but if I give it to you, can you help me turn it into 100 grand? And I say yes. Well, is it worth the 10 grand? Of fucking course it is. But you got to have that belief in yourself. So I get it. I get where you're coming from, where you don't have that belief just yet. But that's a mindset issue, right? It's not an ability thing. You'll be able to do the thing. And by the way, don't get sucked into the charlatans out there. There's a lot of bullshitters that exist. So I'm not telling you to just throw your money to anyone. I'm not telling you to just come at me and give me your money. No, you got to work with people who are aligned with you and that have similar values and are willing, you could trust them and they're going to be there to support you and guide you. Now, with that being said, so paying to play, all right? Pay to get in the room and get around the people. And it's the same thing with your fitness, guys. If you're struggling with your fitness, get a good fucking coach. You get a good trainer, somebody who can show you how to do this right. The same thing with your nutrition, because you'll never regret it. You'll never regret your personal growth, the improvements in your health, the improvements in your mindset. You get one shot at this thing if you're lucky, you get 100 years if you do everything right, okay? And that's if you're really lucky. Now, don't you think it's worth making the most out of every second of this life if we get one shot at this damn thing instead of just coasting, existing? I can't afford it. I can't do that. I can't. You keep making excuses. Fuck that. Who the hell wants to live like that? Get one goddamn life. Live it. Live it. And you got to make those investments in order to do it. 7, stop worrying about what other people do and let go of your need to be right. This is something that really holds a lot of people back. We have this need to be right. We have this ego. And as soon as we let go of that need and desire to be right, and we start to try to actually listen to other people with an open mind and understand their perspective, or try to understand it, doesn't mean you have to agree, but trying to understand their perspective and where they're coming from and letting go of that need to be right is going to help you just get clear on things. One, it's going to help you grow as a person because now you're truly understanding different perspectives. There's like, this brings this up for me. There's a lot of people that you'll talk to that they are not listening to a word you're saying in conversation. They're only waiting for their turn to talk. This happens in arguments. You see it all the time. And just listen to what I'm saying. And I want you to pay attention to that. Next time you get in a disagreement with someone or you're arguing with your spouse or whatever, just pay attention. Are they actually listening to what you're saying? Or are they just waiting for you to stop talking so they could talk? Pay attention to that. And you're going to see how many people do it. And maybe even pay attention to yourself. Like, am I actually listening? Or am I just waiting and I'm just kind of, as soon as they're done talking, I'm just spewing whatever's coming out of my mouth at the time because I'm not listening, right? Really important. So stop worrying about what other people do and stop trying to control other people's actions. The best way is for you to do number 8, and that is take the initiative. Don't wait for others. If you want to influence other people in your circle, the best way to do that is to take the initiative. Don't wait for them. Don't try to fix them. Don't try to change them. Just do your best. Be the man or woman you say that you are and take the initiative. Let go of trying to fix people. Let go of worrying about what they do or what they think. Just be the change that you're looking for. You're looking for a change in your life, be the fucking change. You do it. Take that initiative. Take that stand. And start to work towards building the thing that you want, and others will follow suit. And if they don't, then guess what? You're just going to outgrow them. You're going to outpace them in life, and that may mean you leave them behind. And guess what? That's okay too. Because once you exceed somebody's potential for growth, then they're just holding you back. Maybe you love them. Maybe there's somebody that's really close to you. But guess what? If they're not willing to grow, if they're not willing to follow the example that you set, if it's a great example, then guess what? There may be time where you guys break apart from one another, and that's okay. Because this is your life. And you got to get around the people that are willing to live congruently with your values and who you are. All right, so take that initiative. Don't wait. Number 9, kind of what I've been saying this whole podcast. Be the person that you claim to be. Think about who inspires you. I want you to think about the people that you truly admire. Maybe you go to their Instagram page. Maybe it's The fucking Rock. Think about, why it is you're attracted to these people. Why they inspire you. Okay, well, let's use The Rock as a good example because I think he inspires a lot of people. So if The Rock inspires you, what are the things that he does? Well, he works his ass off. He trains all the time. He's jacked as fuck. Seems like he has a good family life. He's confident. He's charismatic. These are all qualities that we admire. And so if you admire that in someone else, that means that you're getting pulled towards that. But maybe you feel like you're not charismatic. Maybe you feel like, you're not confident. Maybe you feel like you're fat and you're not jacked, right? Well, guess what? All of these things could be learned. All of these things could be trained and developed. So take the time to become the person who inspires you. You have a role model, right? And we kind of let go of that as we get older, especially men. At least we don't admit it, but there's a lot of truth to that. You see people that you admire start to follow or take action on the actions that they do. Eventually, when you do it long enough, you'll become your own person. You'll have your own voice. So I'm not telling you to try to be someone else. I'm telling you to try to embrace or embody the values that they represent. And when you do that, you start to become the highest version of you. And you're just kind of following the trail that someone else has blazed. You're following the footsteps that somebody has left behind. Like, here is the path to achieving the things that you want in life, whether it be your fitness, your business, your work, your relationships, whatever it is. You got to follow suit. Embrace that. But it may sound counterintuitive, but by becoming that, by doing that, you actually become a leader. My friend Jay Ferrugia says we're all influencers, right? Every single one of us, because we're whether we know it or not, we're influencing our children. We're influencing our wife or our husband. We are influencing our clients, our friends. We are influencing people at some level, right? So just because the word influencer is like you think of somebody with 2 million followers on social media, we're all influencers. Jay's 100% right. So if we're all influencers, why don't we start to fucking take ownership over ourselves and influence people, lead people, inspire people to become a higher version of themselves by us actually becoming the highest version of ourselves. And that never stops, guys. You know, I feel like who I am right now in 2024, I am unrecognizable from the person that I was in 2014. And in 2014, I was unrecognizable from the person that I was in 2007 comes to mind, because that was the lowest point of my life. And in 2034, I know that I will be unrecognizable from the person I am right now, because I want to get better. I want to grow, period. We all should, right? Think about it. Think about this life. It's going to be over before you fucking know it. And the only thing left of us is going to be our legacy and the people that we impact. And guess what? Most people, after you die, are going to completely forget about you. However, the people that will remember you and will continue to talk about you are the people that you love the most, the people that are in your circle, your children. If you don't have children, maybe it's your spouse. If you don't have a spouse, maybe it's a sibling. Maybe it's a good friend. There's somebody that you are inspiring that will continue to speak your name when you're gone, because not everybody will. A lot of people are going to forget about you, and that's just the reality, right? Unless you're fucking Aristotle, most people aren't going to be talking about you when you're dead. But those people closest to you will. What kind of difference do you want to make in their lives right now while you're alive? What do you want them to say about you? How do you want them to remember you? Spend some time thinking about this, and then go live your fucking life like your life actually depends on it, because it does. I want to thank you all so much for tuning in to today's show. I hope that you got a lot out of this episode, the 9 steps to take full control over your life. And what I hope the most is that you guys take some of these steps and you start to apply the things that resonate with you the most, so you could start taking back your life. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. I had a blast up here today. Felt good to be back. And we will catch you next week on another episode of the Iron Life Podcast. Peace.